person named Perry Lonica, right? He had claimed that there's many layers under St. Michael's, y'all. This painting is called Dante's Hell, right, y'all? And I just find it funny that this shit was way back then, and he basically illustrated Hollow Earth. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out is this. You peep how that's like the sun it looked like? Hold on, I took a screenshot and zoomed in so y'all can see. They was basically saying that there's different levels underneath us, y'all. And that there's something at the bottom of there, and there's also another sun. It's also funny that in the Bible it stated that there's a place called Sheol that's like an inner earth, like some type of hell on earth, inside of the earth though. And I know y'all remember the Hollow Earth scene when King Kong was falling. You can see the sun right there. Is it just a coincidence when you go on Google and you look up Hollow Earth entrances, right? And you see this, and there's a sun in the middle. There's literally places around the world where they said that you can walk to this place, but it takes miles and miles and miles. Like, imagine walking downwards to the ocean beyond. So y'all just gotta think, yo. Is this far-fetched? Yo, I'm back on my shit, man. Wake up!
Something's not sitting right in my spirit about this Don Julio Popeyes collab. I honestly thought it was fake when I first heard about it. Not once has it ever crossed my mind while eating some chicken to add Don Julio to the mix. That don't even sound appetizing. Then to drop this collab on January 31st, just one day before the beginning of Black History Month, I can't be the only one that finds that suspiciously timed. I mean, they've genuinely got people outside at 10 a.m. with some fried chicken and a bottle of Don Julio, 10 a.m. sharp on a Tuesday. This whole situation reminds me of a scene from a movie called They Clone Tyrone. In the movie, there were secret organizations conducting experiments on lower income communities to keep them docile and unaware of what's going on around them. Well, while eating, one of the main characters realizes that there is something inside of the chicken making himself and everyone around him laugh and smile uncontrollably. They also realized later that there was something in the drinks and hypnosis in the music that they listened to, which I can talk about in an entirely different video. But leave a like and let me know what you think. Am I just overthinking this whole thing?
Horrifying things said by astronauts.
Yang Liwi. During his mission in 2003, he heard continuous hearing sound. Like knock on a door, he described it as that someone knocking the body of the spaceship. Because there is no sound in space. Neil Armstrong. During the Apollo 11 mission, Neil Armstrong sent a secret message to NASA that he saw the existence of other sentient entities there. He said, "These babies were huge and enormous, sir, I'm telling you. There are other spacecrafts out there. They are on the moon watching us." Story Musgrave. He claims that on 2 space stations he saw an 8-foot-long serpentine. He also said that the snake followed him for a long period of time.
Felicity, California, aka the center of the world, and the geoglyphs in Blythe, California, and the recent post I've done about Arizona history and the symbolism behind it. Because Felicity, aka the center of the world, is located in Imperial County, California, just west of Yuma, Arizona, and the Blythe geoglyphs aren't far from that. I could go far in depth about the symbolism that I see throughout this town. However, I'd personally like to take a trip out there and then do a post from that. But I will point out a couple things, including this finger pointing at the pyramid. If you notice, the finger is slightly to the right of the Roman numeral 12, making it look like a 13. Also, as you see, they have the Alpha Omega, but within a sundial, and the symbolism behind it, because the sun is in association with Ra. Not only that, but they have a ritual where you put your toe in a specific spot. I haven't personally done the ritual, but I've heard it's a very bizarre experience. And at the end, in order to get your certificate inside the pyramid, you have to pay an additional $2. And then just a short travel away from there is the geoglyph of another alien-like figure or demon-like figure.
Coming in from the cook's kitchen. Didn't know if y'all knew this, but even after the pig is cut up and looking like this, Watch. Tell me this ain't a pig. Tell me that ain't no daggone pig, bruh. Oi. The pig scream is in their meat still. Oh my God, I can't even eat this. Listen. What the fuck? Just so y'all know, it's not me making no noises. Watch this. See my mouth? That is great.
Scientists have reportedly discovered a lost continent unlike any other continent we have today off the coast of Australia. Scientists are also predicting that Earth could get an 8th continent and a new ocean sooner than what they thought. What if these predictions and discoveries have bigger implications than what you think? You see, an interesting theory that has been circulating for quite some time now is that there are more continents in our world than what we've been told, and that there are continents far away that have been purposely hidden from us. One of the most interesting discussions that stems from these ideas is that UFOs don't actually come from outer space or planets millions of miles away, but instead from continents right in our world that we simply don't know exists. And this isn't coming from overactive imaginations. There are accounts from people in modern and ancient history who claim to have been taken by an unknown craft to areas not in space, but right in our world that are far greater technologically than anything they've ever seen. With that being said, what if these reports of new continents being discovered or added to us, and even talks about the Galactic Federation, is just a way to slowly get us prepared to become aware and integrate into a side of the world that's been hidden from us?
This is the birth of the sun and moon. So much truth, you won't like it.
Super great video. Why? Because somebody on TikTok posted all the pages to a book they have in their possession, and they did not know what they had in their possession until I told them, and they went back and liked all my comments. So with that being said, my people, I know you can see all those people in a circle around this object on this page, right? Well, what if I told you that those guys you see around in a circle are the same watchers who watch us in the clouds? You know, the faces you see in the clouds every day? Are those guys. And what are they worshiping and praising? Though, you know those 3 rings right there? What if I told you the bottom one is earth, the middle one is hell, the one on top of that one is heaven? You know, when you read the Bible and the Torah, it tells you that paradise and hell is in heaven. Well, here you go right here. But what also could they be worshiping? Well, you see those 2 sack things look like they coming up out the ground. Well, this is the part when I tell you, when God told you in the Torah, in the book of Enoch, and in the Bible, when he said, I sent up 2 great lights. This, my people, is the birth of the sun and the moon. And let me show you this. Now, this hole you see that they show you from Antarctica, you know, the one I told you, Apollyon crawl all the way down to the abyss end. Well, what if I show you that there's 2 holes and not one? Because they knew that this information would get out one day, and them showing you 2 holes will paint the picture even better. But I'm showing you that there's 2 holes instead of one. And this is where the sun and moon came from, off of this earth. God created the sun and moon from this earth. Yeah, I know y'all never seen that little hole because y'all too busy researching everything else. But I'm spirit. I'm here to show you everything like my brother Joshua did that you never saw. And you all have been fooled about this sign right here because you let the enemy put 2 serpent heads on this pole, when this pole represents this pole right here that represents the healing powers of the sun and moon. The birth and healing powers of the sun and moon is in this symbol right here. But you let the enemy take that symbol and put 2 serpent heads on it. I rebuke that spirit in the name of the Lord, and no weapon formed against us shall not prosper. I am spirit. I was beside the Father when he did all this. From the very beginning, my people. Wake up! I'm showing you everything. I love you. Shara, ouch.
How fruit looked before humans. Banana Today's. Wild banana. Lemon to days. Wild lemon. Cucumber to days. Wild cucumber. Carrot to days. Wild carrot. Avocado to days. Wild avocado. Strawberry to days. Wild strawberry. Eggplant to days. Wild eggplant.
The reason why your DNA would never show that you are Native American is because, one, they exclude other DNA from further research towards ethnic groups to match. Two, and only to try to compare us to Africans. It says, to exclude the study participants of a mixture population descendants other than African and non-Hispanic European descents. Individuals clustering with majority of self-reported Hispanic African American. Those was two components PCA coordinates falling between African Americans and Caucasian clusters. And individuals not belonging to any other three ethnic groups, upmost right cluster in figure 1, were excluded from further analysis. So, one, they excluded your work from anybody else who actually could be indigenous. So even if you wanted to actually find out if you had matching DNA of actual indigenous people, you would never know because of the fact they exclude you from it. Now, the main reason Black Americans and Native Americans' DNA don't match or will ever match is because of the search of the ancestry of the Native Americans' mitochondrial DNA haplogroups. They analyzed the mitochondrial DNA of 531 individuals from 9 indigenous populations of Siberia. So understand that they use Siberians' DNA and have them down as the Native Americans. So if you, as a person, have Native American DNA on your 23andMe or on your Ancestry.com, it's only because of the fact your DNA matches Siberians' DNA. It does not match the actual indigenous Americans. I got my DNA test back today, and it says I'm most notably connected, or my DNA is most notably connected to Chief Pontiac, the Ottawa Indians, by Native Americans. That blew my mind. And I was born in Korea, lived on the streets of South Korea, but there's not much Korean in me. How is that even possible? So, I'm a Korean from Korea that's not Korean, that's most notably connected to Chief Pontiac. How is that even possible? Someone me. So please remember, they broke out down the human race entirely into 3 groups: African origin, European origin, or East Asian origin. They only believe is white, black, and whatever color you want to identify Asians as. 23andMe literally said it. They literally say in 2008 we divided ancestry into 3 main categories: African, European, and East Asian. Want to know why? Because those are the only people that they are using to compare everybody's blood to. You understand? Do you understand? And then, Pete, it says, we update the algorithm on the reference populations used to predict your ancestry. Your results are expected to change. So I see 2 words that's not good here. Used to predict your ancestry and expected to change. 1, how can you predict somebody's ancestry? Everybody is like snowflakes. Everybody's an individual and have different ancestries. And 2, if this is supposed to be so accurate, why is shit changing? You understand? The only people that know you and your family and your bloodline is you, your family, and your fucking bloodline, bro. Stop going to these DNA bullshits. They are scamming y'all for money. They are scamming you for money. Now, if you go down to your history and you can find you somebody that's from Africa, or at least got some stories telling on how they was told from their lineage, on how they came from a ship from Africa, then okay, cool. I'll take that because they come from word of mouth from your family, somebody who knows you and not gonna lie on you and your king. But understand, if you are taking the word that you are African from these DNA tests and this bullshit ass history of trying to make black people believe that we all came across the transatlantic slave ship, come on now, let's do better, bro. Let's do better. But hey, if y'all want to comment some old bullcrap and not just debunk it all, please do. That just help me out. You know what I'm saying? Heck, that's true. Educating y'all is educating me at the same time. Because I already knew the shit. I'm just finding more ways to debunk the bullshit.
There's a group of people called the ice people and the sun people. Let me tell you about the sun people. The sun people lived under the sun. And the sun gave them everything that they wanted. The sun gave them food. The sun gave them fresh drinking water. The sun gave them animals to make clothing. They never had to steal. They never had to cheat. They never had to manipulate. Why? Because the sun gave them everything. They never had to lock their doors because they never stole from one another. Because they was the sun people. And the sun always provides with abundance. They lived in harmony with nature because they lived in harmony with the sun. Then there was another group of people called the ice people. They lived under the ice. It was cold. They didn't have no clean drinking water. They didn't have no fruit, no vegetables because it was too cold for anything to grow. When they got hungry, they would just eat whatever crawled on the ground. Mice, roaches, ants. If they got too hungry, they would kill each other and eat each other. And blood became wine. These was the ice people. They was manipulative. They was deceitful. They used trickery. You know why? Because they never had enough. So in order to keep what they had to lie to other people to protect what was theirs. And then one day, these ice people who hated nature. Why do the ice people hate nature? Because nature never blessed them. So they don't believe in just letting things happen the way nature wants it to, because nature was never kind to us. And one day the ice people came to the land of the sun people. And they walked in. They said, look at this shit. They got free.
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices. Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets? Yes or no?
We have a program.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to censor or moderate certain tweets? Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world. Those are published on a third-party website, and anyone can review.
Thank God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI, censoring real medical voices with real expertise that put real Americans' lives in danger because they didn't.
We are eating ourselves.
Wow.
Let me say that again.
Wow.
We are eating human. We are eating ourselves.
What the fuck?
And this is why I say what I say. The more I eat it, the way that I feel, what my spirit is telling me. And like I said before, there is no plants in any building. There's no amount of plants in any building across the world that can produce as much as meat as we eat. But guess what? They are producing every day.
Oh, shit.
Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, shit.
There's nothing growing that fast to be able to feed Wendy's, McDonald's, Popeyes, JJ's, Sharks, this fine dining restaurant, that fine dining restaurant. You tell me what's growing that fast and what's moving that fast besides people dying.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Wendy Williams was never the same after she ate that crow, and I'm gonna explain why. So if you don't know, in prime Wendy Williams days, Wendy made a bet. Basically, she was like, Kim and Kanye, they're gonna get a divorce. And if they last more than X amount of days, she would eat her words and she would eat crow. Eating crow is like a thing that people say when you talk beforehand and mess up. You kind of like eat your words. But Kim and Kanye, they lasted, so she actually had to eat the crow. And I've always said when she ate that crow on live TV, it just wasn't the same with her. Now you may be wondering, well, what's so bad about eating crow? Well, eating crow is considered a bad omen in many places. Back in the day, eating crow was literally seen as a humiliation tactic, hence why it's used as an idiom to this day. Not only can eating crow be toxic for you physically, but it can also be taxing on you mentally and spiritually. Also, if you keep it with your Bible, in Leviticus, crow is being deemed as unfit to eat. Now let's take it a little deeper. When you think of a crow, what does it symbolize? Well, it's stated it symbolizes death, danger, misfortune, and illness. But it can also mean rebirth, self-reflection, and intelligence. And when you think about it, Wendy has experienced all of that. You know, after that situation, Wendy was always in some controversy. But you know, it's only so much I can put on that crow. Sometimes it's just Wendy. But Wendy leaving her husband and stepping into a new chapter, that was her rebirth period. But then after 13 years, her show ended. Due to just ongoing health issues, you know, she suffered from Graves' disease, still not getting over her mother passing away. It was a lot that went into it. But they literally dropped her show like it was a bad habit. You can't even go on YouTube and watch old Hot Topic episode, which pisses me off. And, you know, we see Wendy, sometimes she look good, sometimes she doesn't. But when she ate that crow, I just don't think it was the same. And of course, when she told Dr. Oz she's not taking the zine because she doesn't trust it. Once she started talking about that and saying that, it was like, okay, you can keep it real and say it how you mean it with celebrity news, but you a puppet figure saying this stuff, oh, you gotta go. But I make this video with love though, because I'm a huge Wendy fan and I miss her and I hope she's doing okay.
हमारे अक्कू भाई कौवे बुलाएंगे, देख लो अभी आसमान खाली हैगा, कहीं भी एक भी नहीं है, नजर नहीं आ रहा है, देख लो। हेलो, रेडी? आप ये देखो। देखो, ये आना चालू हो गए। अरे ये आ रहे देख लो देखो देखो ये आना चलो भाई देख लो भाई देख लो कितने का हो गए चारों तरफ कौवे कौवे देखो देख लो भाई देख लो
It's hard to imagine that Hollywood hasn't jumped all over this. You would think it would be box office gold because it's part Spartacus and part Braveheart and part Amistad and part Glory with a little bit of Dances with Wolves thrown in. A story decades long of oppression and freedom fighting. I don't understand why there hasn't been more attention to John Horse and the Black Seminoles, but hopefully we can correct this. John Horse and the Black Seminoles deserve to be remembered for a number of reasons. They created the largest haven in the U.S. South for runaway slaves. They led the largest slave revolt in U.S. history. They secured the only emancipation of rebellious slaves prior to the U.S. Civil War, and they formed the largest mass exodus of slaves across the United States, moving from the Florida Everglades through Indian Territory, what would become Oklahoma, eventually locating in Mexico, where they secured title to their own land. It's a remarkable story. It's overlooked not just by filmmakers, it's not well known in popular culture, and in fact it's been overlooked by historians of slavery, if you can believe it. In the early 18th century, two groups in particular fled the colonial South into Spanish Florida, into the Everglades. One of these groups were Seminoles, who were migrating from the various colonies, just trying to avoid white encroachment, basically, trying to move someplace that white colonists weren't. And the other group was runaway slaves, people who were fleeing and trying to create a free life for themselves. Both were welcome in Florida, and in fact, the Spanish crown offered runaway slaves their freedom if they would defend the land for the crown, for the Spanish. So a mixed society emerged in the Everglades of intermarriage, family intermingling between these runaway slaves and the Seminoles. And in fact, the first legally sanctioned black free town in the North American continent was in the Spanish Florida Everglades. After the American Revolution, people living in the southern states didn't really like living that close to a large armed population of former slaves, particularly when they were in league with the local Native American nation, the large armed group of free Seminoles. And they knew that their own slaves felt free to run away and be harbored.
So I'm gonna go ahead and respond to this too and say all of them are Edomites, Germans, Spaniards, British. If not, who are they? So now I'm finna show you who they are. Because remember what we just established in Deuteronomy 28. The setting of Deuteronomy 28, Shemaiah, aka Moses, was speaking to the children of Israel. And he specifically told them, if y'all don't do according to this word, that your people gonna go into slavery to a people you didn't know, your fathers didn't know, y'all don't know the language, and y'all don't know their gods. This means it was a people from a faraway land. That automatically exclude Edomites because we knew Edomites, they lived in our land, we spoke their language, we understood their gods and their idols. So now we gotta figure out who are these people that came from this faraway land. So now I'm finna take you to the Torah, to what they call the Table of Nations. According to the biblical account, all of the nations of the world were spread out by Noah's 3 sons, which is Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All 3 brothers went their separate ways, but one of Noah's sons went northward to the land that we call Europe now. This was Japheth. So let's go to Genesis chapter 10 and go read about Japheth, or Japheth, however you want to pronounce it. Genesis chapter 10 verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. Verse 2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer. So we're going to start right there because Gomer is the progenitor to the ones you just mentioned. Gomer migrated and occupied the land of Germany. And it's also recorded that he occupied the British Isles. We also got Magog. Magog is the progenitor to the Scythians, aka the Russians. The next son is Madai. Madai is the progenitor to the Medes, aka the Persians, the Medo-Persians. The next son of Japhet is Javan. And guess what? Javan is the progenitor to the Ionians. The Ionians are the Greeks. And guess what? That's a news flash. So that means Alexander the Greek descend from Javan, not from Esau. Matter of fact, the people that the Greeks descend from, Javan, predated Edomites. Esau wasn't even born at this time. Next, we got Tubal. And if you look closely, Tubal is the Turks, or what we call Turkey. And then you got Mesek and Tira. And that what made up the Slavs, aka Yugoslavia, and the Armenians. Fact check me. Wait, let me go ahead and show y'all this too. Verse 3, the sons of Gomer, which is the grandson of Japhet, is Ashkenaz. So look, Ashkenaz, just like the Ashkenazi Jewish people, the Japhetic people that living in Jerusalem right now, they Japhetic. Skip down to verse 4, I want to show y'all the son of Javan. This word here, Tarshish, that is Spain, and Kittim, that's Rome. Tarshish over there way in the corner, so check this out. So if Spain descend from Tarshish, that means they don't descend from Esau. And if they don't descend from Esau, that means the Spanish people that popped up on the shores of West Africa were not Edomites. So y'all take any pale skin looking people and just think they doggone Edomites, right? So look here, verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. Most people understand that Gentiles mean nations, but I want to point out, why did it say nations again right here? Also, if Gentiles mean nations and it's a general term, that would mean that it should be a common noun, right? Why does the word Gentile have a capital letter G? If it got a capital letter G, that means it's a proper noun. And guess what? If it's a proper noun, that means it's an actual people, not a generic general term for nations. This is how you group all the European nations together. In their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. So based off of what y'all just saw with me in Genesis chapter 10, that the genealogies that you see in the Torah are progenitor to a whole nations of people. That means it ain't no such thing as a white man or a black man, but it's a such thing as those different groups of nations that we just saw. And the nations that came to the west coast of Africa to take our Hebraic forefathers across that water fit the description of all of those Japhetic nations that we just read about. And if they descend from Japhet, that means they don't descend from Shem. And if they don't descend from Shem, that means they are not Edomites. But listen, y'all, stay tuned for part 3 because I'm finna show you some more. It get deeper and deeper. So when you actually get into the scripture, you actually do your study and your research, all of the fairy tale that y'all been believing in these churches and camps, they getting challenged. But look, it's all love to all of y'all, man. We investigating over here, though. Stay tuned.
So here it shows that Mongoloid is a word, and it's relating to the broad division of humankind, including the indigenous peoples of East Asia, Southeast Asia, and it also says in the Arctic region of North America. Here it shows how they study the Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid. It says genetic distance data indicate that the Caucasoid and Mongoloid are somewhat closer to each other than to Negroid. Analysis of restriction site data for mitochondrial DNA also shows the same genetic relationship. It seems that the Negroid and the Caucasoid Mongoloid groups diverged about 110,000 plus or minus 34,000 years ago, whereas the Caucasoid Mongoloid diverged about 41,000 plus or minus 15,000 years ago. The genetic relationships of various races in each group of Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid were also studied. And it also says all European populations are genetically close to one another except the Lapps, whereas many African, Oceanian, and Amerindian tribes show large extents of genetic differentiation. So it does show that the Amerindian tribes are separate from the African, As well as it shows here that the Negroid was first, and that come the Caucasoid, and from the Caucasoid comes the Mongoloid. So really, we can say we are the first period, but all we're trying to say is that we are the Mara Indian tribes that were already here, period.